Your landlord looks at you and says, "Rent's getting expensive. Hope that's still manageable for you." You smile. "Yeah, it's fine." What he doesn't know is that you make more money than he does. Not a little more. Significantly more. But he has no reason to know that. Because you don't look wealthy. You rent a modest apartment. You drive an ordinary car. You don't wear expensive clothes. And you never talk about your job. To your landlord, you're simply a tenant. Someone who sends him money every month. Someone renting the property he owns. And that's where the assumptions begin. Maybe you've experienced something similar. People see your apartment, your clothes, your phone, your car, and they build an entire financial story about you. If you live modestly, they assume you don't have much. If you own something expensive, they assume you're doing well. But income and appearance aren't the same thing, and neither one tells you how much someone actually owns. Now imagine this. One afternoon, your landlord stops by because there's a problem with some paperwork. During the conversation, he asks what you actually do for work. You give him the short answer. You work remotely. You consult for a few companies. Nothing flashy. He asks how long you've been doing it. You tell him. Then, almost casually, you mention what your annual income looks like. And there's a pause. Not a dramatic one. Just long enough to notice. His expression changes. Because suddenly, the story he had created about you doesn't make sense anymore. The tenant he assumed was stretching to afford the apartment is earning more than he is. And here's the interesting part. You don't feel the need to celebrate. You don't say, "I make more than you." You don't suddenly act differently. You just notice the shift. The conversation becomes slightly more careful. The comments about your finances disappear. The tone changes. And you realize something uncomfortable. He wasn't responding to your actual financial situation before. He was responding to the version of you he imagined. And that's something humans do constantly. We use visible signals to guess invisible things. Nice car. Probably rich. Old car. Probably struggling. Big house. Successful. Small apartment. Maybe not. But those assumptions can be completely wrong. The person driving a 10-year-old car might have hundreds of thousands invested. The person with the luxury SUV might be making enormous monthly payments. The person wearing a $20 hoodie might own a business. And the person constantly talking about money might have very little saved. This is why real wealth can be surprisingly difficult to recognize. Income can be hidden. Investments can be hidden. Savings can be hidden. Debt can be hidden too. But lifestyle is visible. So we naturally judge what we can see. That's the trap. A landlord owns property. So we automatically assume he's financially ahead of his tenant. But owning an asset doesn't tell you the whole story. There could be a mortgage, maintenance costs, taxes, insurance, other debts, vacancies, and the tenant could have investments, savings, or a high income that nobody sees. Neither person can know the other's complete financial picture just by looking at them. And that's the lesson hiding inside this awkward moment. Financial status isn't always visible. Sometimes the person who looks like they're barely getting by is quietly building serious wealth. And sometimes the person who looks successful is spending everything they earn to maintain the appearance. The smartest move isn't trying to prove which one you are. It's building a financial life that doesn't need to be explained. Because if your wealth depends on other people noticing it, you may be spending too much of it trying to prove it. The landlord thought he knew who had the power. He owned the apartment. The tenant paid the rent. Simple. But money doesn't always follow appearances. And sometimes the person you assume is behind you is quietly much further ahead.